OMG. We are back with another episode of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and I am joined by my co-host with the most unwatched Blu-rays and DVDs, Matt Armstrong. Matt, what is
That's true. That is true.
what is going on?
Not too much. First day of well, for Ohio, the first day of the football season.
Yeah,
At our Go
that's
ahead.
what that's why our comedy show is off, because it was the first Commanders home game, and we
Oh,
figured
really?
people would not come out tonight.
Did they win? I saw they were up for a little bit.
Sports.
Yes.
I don't watch it. Don't like it.
They did win.
Yay, the Commanders.
Nice. Undefeated.
Just like Goldberg was back in the early days of the later days of WCW, with his streak of 435-0 until the night Kevin Nash cattle prodded him to win the title.
Didn't he keep that up when he came to WWE?
I don't know. The
too?
streak. No. Because remember when he came in, I think he beat The Rock in their match at Backlash, but I don't think they kept the streak going.
I remember back then I like barely watched WCW, so when he came over, I was like, what is this? Are they running like a Stone Cold clone or something?
No. It was interesting. Back in the days of WCW, they always had the West Coast replay like at midnight. So I could watch Raw and then record Nitro.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can watch all of it on the network.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. I have Peacock. It's on there, isn't it?
It is. And rumor has it AEW is going to start airing on Max for their pay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which hopefully it won't cost extra like the rumor is that it would.
So is that related to WWE? Are they
No. AEW is AEW is the number one competitor.
Okay.
And we are still 1 week off from the week 1 week off. We are 1 week into the firing of CM Punk. We don't need him.
Yeah, I was never a fan of him.
I was a fan of him in Ring of Honor, and when he was in WWE, he was the best thing. And then he was an asshole and took his ball and walked home with him. Walked out of there.
Didn't he poop his pants during a match once?
I don't know. I saw a thing about John Cena getting erections when he had a match.
Ooh.
And then they showed
Still,
and I'm like,
do that.
I'm like, yeah, I guess he gets boners while he wrestles.
Very nice.
Yeah. I say you were telling me your Severin package came in. Have you watched anything yet beside the movie we're talking about?
No, just that one. I was almost concerned that I wasn't going to have it in time because the delivery date updated and it wasn't going to be until this following Wednesday, and then it just showed up. So I don't know what they're doing, but no, I haven't. I've it's been so long that I forgot what all came in this, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Before we get into that, I gotta say I really hate it when other YouTubers like Mr. Tony of the Dead, when he orders the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. I forgot what I ordered.
Yeah.
One, you have a subscription, you know what you ordered.
Right. Yeah.
It's a dumb way of saying I don't want to admit how much money I spent.
Yeah. Well, this I kind of just pushed the button for the bundle. I really did not remember what all was in it. There was a Severin Kids movie that I forgot was part of it.
Which one?
I think it was part of the bundle, The Journey to the Center of the
Earth. Yeah. I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah, I did. I was surprised to see what all was in the box.
So what other stuff did you order that was like on sale shit?
I think just the movie we're talking about today. I think that's it.
Yeah. And that movie is out of the blue. I want to talk about something else before we get into it, because we both watched the Becky movies on Showtime on Paramount Plus. I'm going to admit I started with the second one first and then worked my way back to the first. But basically Becky is the story of this girl whose dad is in the first one. His dad is killed by neo Nazis. The leader played by Kevin James from King of the Hill, and the other guy, the big guy, was Kurgan, who used to be in WWE, is one of the oddities.
I thought he was really good in this.
Yeah, he was.
In Becky.
Yeah, he was. But they were both pretty good movies.
Yeah, so I had put the first one on one day as part of our conquering our collection, but we ended up not talking about it that week. I think I got
does Becky have physical media?
the first one does.
I noticed it was a red box film.
Yeah.
So I didn't think they would. Well, I guess Redbox. Is Redbox still a thing?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I got it on Amazon, and like I'm pretty sure it was a Black Friday thing where Blu-rays were like $3 or $4. I think I picked it up in one of those ones.
Okay.
But yeah, as soon as it was over, I was like, I started to look it up, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this girl in anything. And then I looked her up on Letterboxd and saw that there was a sequel out, and I was like, oh, I got to watch this immediately. Just as good.
Yeah, they're fun films. They're as I wrote in my review of one of them, Kevin McAllister walked so Becky could kill.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that this is like I'm hoping there's a third one, because where the second one ended, it is just in a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Becky as the youngest member of the CIA. And we find out what the key is all about. But no, I thought they were both really good films. Now, when I put the second one on, I had no expectations for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I am like, there was a lot of good gore twists that I did not expect, and just a really good take on the Proud Boys, or
Yeah.
sorry, the Noblemen.
Yeah. That's what you become when you grow up a little. The nobleman.
And then the first one, I thought Kevin James was really good. I had no idea he could act.
Yeah, I was very surprised by it too. I was really surprised by it just seemed like the movie was well made. Like in the beginning, when Kevin James and his cronies are kind of getting out of prison, and it kind of like shows them kind of slowly walking out, and it like juxtaposes that with Becky like walking in. I was like, okay, so Becky's clearly gonna be bad news here, because I had no idea what the movie was even about.
It's funny that Joel McHale plays her dad, and he was right on character. It's just being an asshole.
Joel McHale as Joel McHale.
I didn't care when he died. And
I just watched something too that had the stepmom in it.
She was
the
in
first one.
She was in Infinity Pool.
That was it. Yeah.
And she's on Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
Yeah, I finally watched the unrated cut of Infinity Pool.
Was it any better?
Seeing a dick jerked off just makes any movie better.
Was it just that part when
No, there was more violence.
guards peeing?
There was a little bit more violence in it, but I actually liked the movie quite a bit.
Yeah.
I find it boring. I found it boring in some parts, but I like how this idea of where this island can clone people so they would take the fall for you in crimes on the island. I find it a very interesting idea. I find it really interesting how the rich people take advantage of it, so they could have like a summer-long purge and fuck with other people.
So, just one question about it: do you think that the main character was a clone by the end?
No,
and not the original.
No, I don't think that at all.
Because there was a part where I think it was the last house, like who was that? The head guy on the island or whatever. They like went to his house to kidnap him and stuff. And the main guy had his shirt open, and he had a bunch of like stab wound scars on his chest. And it made me think that I remember the part where he got stabbed by the um like the very first thing where he was like being executed by the kid.
I don't know. I
So
don't
yeah,
think so. But
yeah,
if I didn't take it that way, but I mean, it's film is art, so you can take it. You can read it. You can basically take your meaning out of it or how you want it to end.
right.
And that's kind of what I liked about it is that it didn't have any clear answers.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I should probably watch it again. I put it on late at night, and
It's
I don't
it's
know. It might have just been too late, and I was just bored by it. But
it's not a late night movie.
yeah,
Um, Today I did go to the theater to see Bottoms.
I saw you message about that. I don't think I've seen anything about it.
It's from the director and star of Shiva Baby, and it's
Hmm.
basically about these two lesbian girls in high school who start a fight club so they can get with cheerleaders.
I think I did see something about that.
And I don't want to give it away. The movie is pretty fucking funny, but I'm not a fan of football players who go into acting. And I'm going to mess up his name because I'm not a sports ball person.
Sports ball.
Deshaun Lynch, is that his name? Or LaShawn Lynch?
Deshaun Lynch. Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
He was their teacher in the movie, and he was just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good like personality for acting. I think he did a bunch of like Skittles commercials, and he was pretty funny in those.
Yeah, he was the group advisor of the Fight Club. Again, I don't want to spoil it because it was such a good film, and I kind of want to go see it again.
Yeah,
I do think the right is going to glom onto it as a movie that's everything wrong that's wrong with this country. It has gay
as they
people.
do.
It has gay people in it.
No.
There's a line I'm going to totally this old guy in the stands. He's like, enough of this gay shit. I want to watch some football, man on man. And I love how it just brings out the hypocrisy of people.
Yeah. There's not
Um,
enough men in tight spandex out there.
well, not in this world, but in the world with superheroes, there is. You watch anything good this week?
Um, no, I haven't really had a chance to watch much of anything. I feel like I watched something the other night, and I cannot think of what it was at all. So it must not have been good.
I didn't watch much either, but Friday night I finally watched the 4K of the Boogeyman.
Hmm.
I've
The
seen it.
Vinegar Syndrome one or the new one?
I've seen it before, and it looks beautiful in 4K. And I'm sure at some point we'll talk about it. I just the movie drags at the beginning. There's so
Hmm.
much exposition, but it looked beautiful.
I started watching The Green Room, but I fell asleep pretty quick.
You wanted to watch another people killing Nazi movie?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah,
I think that the last part I saw, they were. I think it's a band, but they were getting interviewed by someone trying
yep.
to pick a name out or something, and then I fell asleep.
Well, you missed the point of the movie.
Yeah, I'll put it back on. I need to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't watch much. I mean, this week I had to go in the off. I had to start going to the office,
Hmm.
and it's just draining having to go in 2 days a week. I got so much. I got so used to my soft lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was kind of the opposite. I usually work 4 10-hour days at the office, and this week we got paid for Labor Day, so I just had to go in and work 4 8-hour shifts, and it seemed like the longest week ever. I don't know why. I worked
Oh, the
less.
week after Labor Day, always the week of Labor. The 4 days after Labor Day is the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't watch much this week because of that. I did watch. It was rainy, pretty badly raining here yesterday, so I didn't really go out. So I watched Infinity Pool, and then I went and started pulling stuff off the shelf that I haven't watched in a while. I watched Blood Games, and we should talk about that at some point because I got lots to say on that one.
Okay.
I rewatched Out of the Blue, and then last night I watched Cutting Class.
Nice.
Have you seen that one yet?
Cutting Class. I think I saw a long time ago before Vinegar Syndrome put it out. I think I got it at Best Buy a long time ago.
I didn't know
That's
it
the one
was
with Brad Pitt, right?
a young Brad Pitt.
Yeah, yeah.
And then today I saw Bottoms, but then while I was having dinner, I decided to throw a movie on, and I was going through the shelves, and in the back of one of them was the Jonah Hill movie, The Sitter, which I don't remember why I bought it. I was probably still in that, and it was made back before Jonah Hill was a dick.
Yeah.
And I know I watched it once, and so I watched it again, and I actually found the movie really fucking funny.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny too. I think all his movies from back then were funny. Back
Oh
when we
no,
had fat Jonah.
The Watch was not funny.
Man, I liked that one too.
Really, it was
That
it
was
was
just that time when it was like you either had Vince Vaughn, Will Ferrell, or like Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill in every comedy.
it had a great cast. You had Ben Stiller, you had Vince Vaughn, you had Jonah Hill, you had the guy from the IT Crowd, whose name I can't remember,
Yeah.
and then you had Billy Crudup as the creepiest yet coolest neighbor ever.
Well, I'll say I remember liking it back then. I haven't seen it probably since it came out, so maybe it hasn't held up.
I watched it. I watched it this past winter,
Okay.
and I don't think I was able to make it through it.
Hmm.
And I remember seeing that one in the theater. I do think Jonah Hill's best movie besides Superbad is This Is the End.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, he's good in that. I really liked him in, I mean, completely different kind of movie, but Wolf of Wall Street, I thought he was really good in.
he was fantastic in that.
Yeah.
But I think that was the beginning of Asshole Jonah.
Yeah. Lost a few pounds and just thought he was the world, you know?
Oh, he treats women like crap. That's not the Jonah Hill I know.
Yeah.
He used to be funny.
Did you see the movie he was in, the Netflix movie he was in?
Which one?
What was it, like You People, I think?
Was that the one he did with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
Ooh, man, that one was, if you want to see unfunny Jonah Hill, pop that one on.
I think once he did Moneyball and Wolf of Wall Street, he thought of himself as a serious actor.
Yeah.
He's not a serious actor. He came up from the Judd Apatow pool of acting.
Was Django Unchained before or after Wolf of Wall Street? Because he was pretty funny in that.
Yeah, but he was in one scene of that movie. Just one fucking scene. It was a good scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, it was the fucked upness of the Ku Klux Klan before the Klan existed.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
can't see shit.
it must have been so funny making that scene. That movie was just great, but that's off the topic. But
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed The Sitter. I'm so bad with actors' names right now. The really great actor was in Iron Man 2. Sam Rockwell was great as Carl the drug dealer,
Yeah.
And JB Smoove is as his sidekick. I just remember there's a scene after he got the cherry bomb exploded between his legs,
Yeah.
and he's going up. He's going up to a cab driver, and a cab driver goes, "Your dick's on fire." He goes, "I know my dick's on fire. So your mama, so your mama likes it." And I'm like, this might be some of the greatest dialogue in film history.
Yeah, I think he is. He's also someone who doesn't have a lot of roles, but when he's in a movie, he's really good.
Yeah, but I don't want to say it was a great movie. It was a movie I needed to see following Bottoms.
Yeah,
Like
I'll have to watch it again.
you ever go in your movie room and you're like, I'm gonna watch another exploitation Italian horror movie or classic erotica, and you're like, you can't. I just can't do it.
Yeah, right now I'm doing a challenge on Letterbox that I'm surely not going to finish, but it's 100 horror films in 92 days. Um, it started I think August 1st and ends on Halloween.
Well, I'm just gonna do my 30 days of horror, and if I can get 30, my 31 days of horror, if I can get 31 in, I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But last year I didn't go out at all, so I was able like to get 40 or 50 in. And I'm
Nice.
like, I don't want to do that again. I want to have a life.
I'm 15 movies in, and almost a month and a half has gone by. So
what have you watched so far?
Infinity Pool, The Beckys, um, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster.
Hold on for 1 second.
Yeah.
Do you consider the Becky movies horror?
Um, I did, just because it's pretty much just anything that on Letterbox that if horror is in the genre, then you can count it.
It's
But
not they're not horror movies.
yeah,
They're action comedies.
they were pretty funny.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Brooklyn 45, which I think I had talked about before. Megan,
Still haven't seen it.
Dementia 13, which was kind of a slog.
I haven't seen it.
Creep.
Haven't seen it. Oh no, that's the found footage movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it.
I thought that one was kind of interesting.
I think anything that stars Mark Duplass is interesting.
Yeah. Satan's Menagerie and The Corn Shucker.
You really consider the Corn Shucker horror?
I think that's what it's got it as. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only genre it has is horror.
I did not consider that a horror movie.
It was a horror to watch for sure.
Yeah.
The Good Things Devils Do, which was that was a bad one. That was a real bad one. And The Devil's Story.
What's that one?
That is a Vinegar Syndrome one. It has like the kind of mutilated guy on the cover with a shotgun.
Oh yeah. The French film.
Yeah, which was like 50 minutes long, but they just added a bunch of looping scenes in it to get it over 70 minutes. It's also not great.
No. No. Someone I know said that was the reason they considered not resubscribing was that
Really?
movie. Speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, I noticed in one of the groups someone posted post your 3 favorite releases.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of interesting going through it. I'm not gonna diss on anybody's what their top 3 is, but there was a line of delineation of people who are more recent subscribers to people who've been with them a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like, Miami Connection on that list. Yes, Vinegar Syndrome did a beautiful job with that film, but I still consider that a Draft House Films release.
Right.
Like for me, it was the Angel box set, Putney Swope, and the fuck is it called?
Dead Heat. You're thinking
No.
of Dead Heat.
Not no, I'm not thinking. I would never think of Dead Heat as one of my favorites.
Oh.
I want to say it's Bless My Soul, but that's not the name of it.
Hmm.
I didn't realize Darkroom was out of print. Hold on. I don't want there to be any dead silence.
You want me to just start singing Jeopardy music?
No. You could. I don't think you have a beautiful singing voice, though.
I don't. You're right.
I heard your singing voice scares people.
Man, I don't even know if I'd be able to pick my top three just all on a whim.
Oh, Catch My Soul.
Mm.
Part of the Exquisite line of 4 movies.
I do not have any of those.
The Dennis Hopper one, The American Dreamer, is also pretty good. It's a documentary about Dennis Hopper. I want to say I think he directed it, but I'm not sure. Maybe he did not. Yep, but no, he did not direct it.
No.
But it just shows how fucked up he was during the period of time they filmed it. But it's interesting. I mean, I just found it really interesting of what people's top 3 was. Like, there is, and it also kind of really, made me think that there's going to be new people coming into the label, and because all this stuff that has gone out of print is now going to be more expensive on the aftermarket, even if some other label picks up half of it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I don't.
I'll
Go
go.
ahead. I was going to say I'm kind of interested to see what the subscription and new eyes on Vinegar Syndrome looks like now that you go on the site and there's no porn anywhere.
Well, I don't think porn really played a part for them in a long time.
No, I mean in the sense that um there's always been people in the groups complaining about the porn. I wonder if that kind of stopped people from subscribing or even getting involved with Vinegar Syndrome.
Well, I mean, it's been a couple of years now since porn has even been part of the subscriptions.
Yeah, yeah, for the
So,
subscription part, yeah.
so I don't think it's going to affect them one bit at all. If anything, as I've stated before, I think the new site, people will be choosing to spend their money on that instead of some of the partner labels.
Yeah, can see that.
I mean, I'd much rather have Amber Aroused than something from
Is that the robot one?
yeah, than something from Yellow Veil. Though I did order my first Yellow Veil title,
Which one?
the documentary about um late night cable movies.
Um,
I think it was
oh, with like the adjuster tracking or something,
no, no,
or We
no.
Kill for Love.
We Kill for Love.
Very nice. Yeah, when I was going through all of my movies these past couple weeks to get them all organized by label, I was I don't want to say disgusted, but I a little shocked to see that we always talk about me buying all the partner labels, but I did not think that I had like a lot of the labels. I have every single one of their releases. I was like, how like ETR Media? I have every ETR Media release.
Yeah, I bought their first one, the Green Jello or Green Jelly.
Yeah.
What a horrible film. You know what? And here's one. How much is it? Before, if you don't have a subscription, it is doesn't have the price on here. The material issue story out of time. It's a 50-some minute movie.
Who is that through?
ETR.
ETO.
Or no, Factory 25.
Out of time. Okay.
And look, I back in the day, I loved Material Issues song. They had a song called Valerie Loves Me. I don't want to. I know the lead singer killed himself.
Hmm.
I don't know why I would want to spend the money on this because it's not something that doesn't interest me. And
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I think documentaries about like the Vinyl Nation and the video store movie are interesting. And don't get me wrong, I like a good music documentary, but Material Issues a band that just is going to be a footnote in 80 or late 80s, early 90s alternative.
Well, you will be happy to know that I did not order this one.
Did you order We Kill for Love?
I did only because it was getting really low.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Which I think is probably how I'm going to treat the partner labels from now on. Unless there's one that I really liked.
The only label that I'm 100% loyal to is AGFA.
Yeah. And I don't think I got their last one. I usually get all of theirs. I think I think the only one that I got from this past go around was the Saturn's Core one.
The one that looks like a Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, Saturn's Core has just been too much of a miss for me.
Yeah.
I'd much rather spend my money on other labels. And plus, I know
Yeah.
I've already pre-ordered the Night of the Demons 1, 2, and 3, and I did order Coffin Joe from Amazon. I know I'm probably going to cancel it.
Really?
I'm not interested. But
when does that one release? Is that November?
End of November, yeah. I mean, I gotta think about it because in December I have the complete series of Babylon 5 coming in. And I don't know, I've seen some of the Coffin Joe movies before, and I thought that when I think Synapse put them out, I think they're okay, but they're nothing to write home about.
Mm-hmm.
But much like the video store, I don't want to feel like I'm missing out, and I got to work my way through the FOMO. But I also didn't want to buy it entirely from Orbit or Diabolic and have to
Yeah.
pay for it right now.
Right. Yeah, video store. That's one that was purely not wanting to miss out because I'm pretty sure I have all of those movies already.
I had all but 2 of them.
Yeah.
I didn't have Robot Jocks or Arena. And even worse, no, I still like to shout Scream Factory dolls,
Mm-hmm.
but I did like how the collection looked, and I'm sure they're going to do a second one at some point in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But enough about that. Let us talk about Dennis Hopper's masterpiece. Is it all right to call this one a masterpiece?
Well, I can't think of if I've seen any of his other movies, so this might be the masterpiece of his movies.
I've never seen the last movie. I really want to see it. But the tag we're talking about, Out of the Blue, 1980, directed by Dennis Hopper. She's 15. The only adult she admires is Johnny Rotten, a young girl whose father is an ex-convict and whose mother is a junkie, finds it difficult to conform and tries to find comfort in a quirky combination of Elvis and the punk scene. Out of the Blue stars Linda Mars as Cebe. Fantastic. She's fantastic in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing I've seen her in is Days of Heaven. Dennis Hopper plays her dad, Don. Sharon Farrell plays Kathy. Raymond Burr is Dr. Breen. Don Gordon is Charlie. And really, that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
So,
very small cast.
well, it's a very small movie. And before we get into the plot, it's kind of interesting that this movie was already in production before Dennis Hopper took it over. He was just he was paid to be an actor, but the writer director of it got fired, and the movie was going to be shut down. And Dennis Hopper decided, hey, I'll direct this. He rewrote the script. Instead of it being about a young troubled girl and her psychiatrist who helps her overcome her, helps her find a better life, it becomes a dark portrait of a young girl who's really fucked up.
Yeah. That's putting it lightly.
And the movie, like, I had never heard of this movie until Severin announced it, and I couldn't justify the price on it as a 4K, even though I do order all their fucking 4Ks during their big sales. It was a powerful film, and the first time when I saw it a week ago, I felt like someone punched me in the gut and kicked me in the balls simultaneously. But the story is about this 15-year-old girl named CB. When the movie starts, she is 5 years younger, so 10 years old. She's in a costume, and her dad is driving her to school. While they're driving, there is a bus stalled in the road, and the dad is drinking. Was he popping pills as well?
I think, yeah. I think CB picked up a bottle of something.
Okay.
So I think so, yeah.
And here's the thing. This is the only scene where her and her dad seem normal. Well, I can't even say that.
Yeah.
But we didn't know anything about them. They're ciphers, and we just, okay, he's drinking, he's popping pills. And then he rams his semi-truck into the stalled bus, killing everybody on board. And the first time we see it, it's graphic, but not that graphic. And just seeing that little chubby kid cry was just really, really kind of messed up. I mean, it was a messed up scene. We 4 to 5 years where she's 15, she's into Elvis and likes punk rock, but she's still a little kid. So I want to talk about the scene. Now, did she go to her mom's restaurant, the restaurant where her mom worked first, or go into the truck first? I can't remember.
I think the truck first.
Okay. So this scene I find it to be a really fascinating scene. So CB goes and, well, let me go over the plot first. So 5 years later, CB is living with her mom. Her mom is dating the owner of the restaurant that he works at, Harold, who is he's a pretty well thought out character, and I'll get back into that later. We find out her dad's getting out of jail soon. Then we see her at the bowling alley, and that's where we meet Charlie. She's there with her 3 friends, and Charlie is a creeper.
Yeah, all around.
Then she realizes, so she goes to talk to her mom and Harold. Charlie is acting even creepier on the mom. Then we find out later that she sells her heroin or gives her heroin. CB runs away to the big city, where she gets involved with a creepy taxi cab driver who takes her back to his room, gives her weed, she passes out, and the creepy cab driver and the hooker, is she a hooker?
I wasn't sure what was about to go down in that room.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I don't want to know. It was creepy. It was just really creepy. She then goes to a punk show, plays drums, and then she steals a car. And when someone obscures her vision, we get a more graphic look at the bus accident.
Yeah.
then she goes home. Well, she's arrested. She has to talk to the psychiatrist played by TV's Perry Mason and TV's Ironside, Raymond Burr, who I'm pretty sure was pretty upset that he originally went from the co-lead to just 2 fucking scenes in the movie.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Then her dad. Oh, then there's a scene where they go to the prison, and it's an interesting scene that the dad basically tells them to get the fuck out after just a few seconds.
Yeah.
He then comes home. There's a big party for him. 2 of the other town folk people come in and basically say, "Hey, you're not welcome here. You killed my son." I thought that was a pretty poignant scene.
Yeah.
He works at a trash, what do they call it? A landfill.
Yeah.
Then he gets fired from the landfill, and things get even worse. His alcoholism is out of control. He doesn't want his daughter to be a dyke, so he tries to convince his wife that Charlie should go up and have sex with her.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie's the creepiest guy. He might have been the voice of reason during that scene. And things go from bad to worse. She kills her dad. We find out that he was sexually abused her when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like there was no lead up to that at all?
Well, I felt like there was something weird just from that opening scene because when she was like dressed up as the clown or whatever, they were like it's just saying weird stuff. She was saying like, "Am I that bad? You need a drink or something," and then he made some other comment, and then he was like made her kiss him on the lips, and I was like, "Oh man, this is kind of a weird relationship."
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that, but it didn't seem. I mean, when you're little, you kind of give your parents a peck on the lips. Nothing serious.
Yeah.
I thought it was just that.
Nothing serious.
Like I never exchanged tongues with my parents. No, and then she goes into the truck with her mom, and they blows the 2, and they blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm when I say it, it sounds like a really shitty movie, but it's not. So let's go back to the truck scene where she's talking on the CB of how her dad was Flash and she's gorgeous, and together they'd be Flash gorgeous, which I thought was funny, but it's the way she talked about being a punk.
Mm-hmm.
She is not a punk. She's a 15-year-old who wants to be a punk.
Yeah.
Like she's saying the words pretty vacant. Disco sucks. Kill all hippies. But then in the same scene, when she's done talking to people on the CV, she kind of puts her finger in her mouth and cuddles with her teddy bear.
Right.
And it just basically shows how vulnerable CB is as a character, because she has this tough exterior and has this really she's a kid who wants so bad to fit in that she thinks being a punk is the answer. And believe me, I was a poser punk when I was her age. So I believed in anarchy and God save the queen.
Yeah. Were you wearing full head to toe denim?
No, I'm not I don't wear the Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
Which you forget this movie was made in Canada. But no, it's just she's just this kid, and she had her opportunity to get out with the psychiatrist,
Mm-hmm.
to not be caught up in this cycle. And like I think I also got to mention the Neil Young, using the song My Hey Hey, which was just great because it kind of fit the movie so well.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, it's like she's like this kid who read a book, didn't fully understand the book, but she thinks this is what she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the scene at the beginning, beside her dad killing everybody, is the most important scene in the movie, because right away we see how her character wants to be perceived. We see the reality of her character and the perception she wants to portray.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's shown pretty well in the scenes when she has to go see the psychiatrist too, because when she's out in the world, she's got this hard image and really seems like she's trying to be an adult, really seems like she's trying to be, like just like a hard person. But when she goes to the psychiatrist, um, she's just very clearly a little kid. She's like playing with every toy, you know, not opening up really, just kind of saying like, no, I want to stay with my mom. I want to stay with mommy, like all this stuff. And it's,
Well, I think that's part of it, because she was sexually abused.
mhm,
She doesn't want her. We know her dad is a horrible person,
mhm,
because not only did he risk her life while drinking, he risked everybody on the streets.
right.
And we could probably guess that the marriage between Don and his wife, played by the wonderful Sharon Farrell, was not a good marriage at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Seems like it.
Um,
She kind of led on to that when she was given CB that talk at the restaurant where she was talking about there's like two different kinds of guys, and she said her husband was like the wild kind of guy that you want to be around but you shouldn't, and then there's the provider, which was, I think you said his name was Harold.
yeah, which is a great scene in and of itself. That
Mm-hmm.
she walks from their house to the restaurant her mom works at, and Harold might be the nicest person in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'll get more to him in the bowling alley scene. But when her mom is giving that talk to her, you realize the mom had probably been in the same cycle as CB has, where she was probably abused. She's in a loveless marriage, and she had no other choice because there's no escape from this world for them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's 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 a heroin addict, which is the most extreme addict out of anyone in this film that we know of.
Right.
And you also get the feeling that she would be relieved that CB went away so she could run away.
Yeah, it did always kind of seem like that, but then there were just like little moments, and it might have just been moments where she was sober for the few hours or whatever, where she seemed kind of like, no, I want like a real family, I want to settle down. But it did always kind of seem like she just wanted to get out of there, and it was, she was in a toxic situation, especially when he came back.
Well,
Don. Don
Don, yeah,
Ron. Okay.
Don. But here's the thing: is that we always think what we don't have is better than what we have. Maybe the mom fit was thinking that, oh, he's a changed man because he couldn't get drunk, conceivably couldn't get drunk while he was in prison.
Right.
That he was now sober and could lead a better life for them, even if it was just working at the dump.
Yeah.
But as soon as he gets out, the toxicity is almost back immediately. Um, we spend some time with her looking at her transistor radio, Hard to believe those cost $200 back then.
Yeah.
And if she was a rich rock star, she'd buy at least 10 of them.
Yeah. Very childlike
Yeah.
ambitions there.
Yeah. So I think the next real important scene is the bowling alley. CB comes in with her friends. They walk back, and this is where we meet Charlie, and he is just all talk. You just see him talking up his buddies, and there's a point where he says, "Look back. Don't make it look like you're looking back."
Yeah.
And they talked about, I think the woman's name was Molly. That's the short one's Molly's daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
The basketball player, like mother, like daughter. Like, here's this guy who is a fucking pig sexualizing kids when they're just being kids.
Yep.
And the way he goes over and talks to CB is pretty fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says what kind of person he is, because he didn't recognize her at first, which means he hadn't seen her since
Right.
probably everything went down. And yeah, if you talk to your dad or write him, tell him I love him. Tell him I'll give him a big kiss for me.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting conversation. You could tell that CB felt very uncomfortable around him.
Yeah, and that I think that kind of goes towards, the past abuse too, because she seemed uncomfortable, but at the same time, I feel like she played it very cool. Could have freaked out, could have like caused a scene, but she kind of just said like, "Hey, come over here. My mom's over here." Kind of just
Yeah, she's gonna go talk to him.
Yeah. So there's probably a
Well,
having it be her dad the whole time. She had to not tell.
well, yeah, but the way when she went over to talk to her mom to say she's sleeping over at her friend's house, her mom says no.
Mm.
Now you see her mom drinking a Colt 45, and Harold is drinking milk.
Yeah.
And that's how good of a director I think Hopper is that he makes it very well known that Harold doesn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charlie comes over and starts squeezing the mom's tits. Again, acting really, really fucking creepy. And then she kind of gets mad at him. She gets mad at Harold because that's Don's best friend.
Yeah.
And him and Charlie have a little exchange at the end of the scene. And it's the last we see of Harold, but basically Charlie calls Harold an asshole, and then Harold goes, "I've always known that you've been one."
Yeah. Got him.
And if you look at the character of Harold, who I wish was in more of the movie, he's out of all the circle, I will say their circle of friends, he's the only one who's doing something. He owns his own business. He's self-sustainable, even though we never see any customers in his restaurant.
Yeah.
And he's in one more scene. I take it back. He's in one more scene, but he's what these other characters kind of wish they could be.
Mm-hmm.
He's not addicted to anything. He's just a genuine nice guy. And it makes you wonder why the mom didn't divorce Don while he was in prison and go with him, because she would have had a better life and Stevie would have had a better life.
Right. Yeah, and I think that I don't know if she was just bored by that life, because she brings up the part where we first meet her in the diner or the restaurant or whatever it is, and she says like, you want to what did she say? You want to be like me or something, but look how good I did. just saying like, "Hey, I'm just a waitress at this diner."
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I
Oh,
think that she deep down is just, clearly an addict, and that 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 lifestyle I think just doesn't suit her, no matter how badly she wants it.
yeah, and you got to think about it because we don't know anything about the mom before the accident. But you
Hmm.
got to think of knowing that your husband killed all these kids that is so painful.
Yeah,
It could drive someone to alcoholism knowing that she has to live with that every time she goes into town, every
yeah.
time she sees somebody.
Speaking
So
of that accident, 5 years. That seemed like a pretty light sentence.
it was probably involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, but like 30 counts of it.
He I mean, today he would have gotten life.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I also think for the story, 5 years made sense.
yeah.
Um, I'm totally ignoring the prison visit because there really wasn't much to it. It's that it's the only time that Don looked remorseful for anything he's done.
Yeah. So why do you think he was trying to kick them out of there?
I don't know because he couldn't be with them, and maybe he felt so guilty for what he did.
Yeah, I didn't really get it at the time of that scene, but when the ending came around and everything, I didn't I kind of thought that, like, he's finally sober and he's seeing his daughter for the first time, and it's like coming back to him what he always did to
That
her.
that that could have been part of it as well.
Yeah.
And it was also really interesting the way she was dressed in that scene.
Hmm.
That she dressed up kind of like she was younger than she was.
Right. Yeah.
And again, once we found out everything, the movie the puzzle pieces started to fall in place. But after she leaves the bowling alley with her friend, going back, they went to the movies, and I was having a conversation with one of our friends. He's like, Do you ever remember those boxes at the movies?" And I'm like, "No." And then I remembered at some of the theaters I went to, that was the smoking area.
Right. Yeah.
And just, again, this is where we see her being a kid, sliding down the banister, walking through the streets, pretending to play drums with the fences and singing "Take the Long Way Home" by Supertramp, and just messing with guys who want them to get into their car.
Yeah.
I wish her friends were a little more defined than just sidekicks.
Yeah, was gonna say that too. I feel like Hopper did a very good job of kind of like very subtly laying out who all these characters were. Like nothing's, straight up in your face. I guess other than Don, but I would have liked to see more from them.
Yeah, and maybe it was stuff that was cut. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it
At
was a
this,
pretty short movie,
it
I
was
thought.
91 minutes.
Oh, was it now?
Yeah,
It went by quick.
it did. Then we see her. Was at her house or was that Charlie's house? I think it might have been
Um,
their house.
I think it was their house, yeah.
Yeah. Charlie brought her mom heroin, and we see her shooting up.
Hmm.
CB sees this, and then she runs away to the big city of, I'm going to guess, Vancouver, because that's where this movie was filmed. And it's, as a runaway, I mean, you just see her walking the streets. And I did watch this in one of the special features that person singing was just someone who they met on the street. And it's really interesting because you do hear Hopper's voice in that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's basically, it was just hear him laughing because they're filming it right there, and that wasn't supposed to be in the movie. Those were people that were just there doing their thing, saw the camera, and decided to ham it up.
I don't think I noticed it.
And then comes one of my favorite sequences where she's walking and we see the outdoor boxing matches. And she's trying to get away from it. I don't know why, but she's trying to get away from it. And we see just the cops looking on and the hooker looking on.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one is fazed by this.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that scene.
Then we see her get into the cab. And in a movie with a lot of scary parts to it, this might have been the scariest. Again, trying to act all cool, she asked the cab driver if he likes punk, and he says disco sucks. She agrees with it. And then he asks her if she wants to get high and go back to his place. And this part was frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're younger, you want to think that every person you meet is a good person. And he might have been one of the most, in a movie full of evil people, he might have been one of the most evil.
Yeah.
They go to her place. He gives her, I'm guessing, really strong weed because she's about to pass out with her thumb in her mouth. He stops playing the song almost immediately and look like he's about to do, him and that woman are about to do something really bad.
Yeah.
She wakes up, breaks things, and gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Really good scene, and at the same time just really confusing scene. I was just like sitting there just trying to think like what what is about to happen here. Like with the woman specifically.
Well, she was sucking on a lollipop.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. All I can imagine is the worst because in all the doors that were open in that apartment complex or that transient hotel, nothing good was happening in there.
Yeah.
Then she goes to a punk rock show, and this is, I think, the happiest she looks in the movie because when she's hanging out the band, they are like the nicest people. Like the drummer is protecting her from the fights.
Yeah.
He lets her play on stage where she gets an applause from when she walks off, and it was a nice sequence to see her happy, even though she's a runaway. Then we get the car sequence, and I'm guessing there was an accident again because we get the flashback to the truck hitting the bus.
Yeah, and did she end up, was she arrested?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there must have been something happened.
Well, she stole a car.
That's right. Okay.
And I love the way the mom all of a sudden started making excuses for her, which I'm sure the mom did for the dad all the time.
Yeah.
And the psychiatrist, when he sees her, he basically says, CB can stay here. And she's like, no, I want to go home with my mom. Which, as someone who is a responsible adult, that should have been the last thing he should have let her do.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that her dad was about to get out of jail. And then
he was not out at that point, was he?
No, next scene he's out.
Okay.
Because the dad is out of jail and there's a huge party going on. And I'm guessing that he was an alcoholic before he was he was an alcoholic. But I think he's an alcoholic for different reasons now. Because he has to live with the memory of killing all those kids.
Yeah.
And it's interesting going to when they're walking the party and the mom is introducing him to everybody. Most of the people there are people he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's
and he's upset about it.
Yeah. Because I again, this is my conjecture, is that he felt everybody in that room judging him.
Yeah.
And he's happy to see people there in his honor. But I think the big moment is when him and Charlie are hanging out.
Yeah.
Charlie again. And Charlie was like, they start dancing and acting like old friends do. But I think when the party gets smaller too, and just around the people hanging around the kitchen table, and when the dad of one of the kids comes in and starts talking to him, and he starts pulling, spilling liquor all over himself, going, I'm an asshole, I'm an asshole. I think we see him beginning to fall apart because one, he's not taking any responsibility for what he did.
Yeah.
And two, he's a haunted man. Like from every scene from this point on, he is drinking. When he goes to pick CB up from school, he's drinking. When he's in his bulldozer or crane, he is drinking.
Yeah.
He is constantly drinking. And I think it's because the memory of what he did haunts him, or the memory of all of his crimes haunt him.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought during the scene where he was dumping the liquor on himself, I don't know why, but I was kind of expecting him to, at the minimum, just say like, I'm sorry that happened or something, but he comes out and is just like, how many asshole parents am I gonna have to talk to about this or something?
Yeah,
And I was
because
like, oh, so geez.
he takes no responsibility.
Yeah.
Also, again, this is a theme that we see throughout the film. The mom doesn't take any responsibility. The mom is self-medicates herself so she doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah.
Then we have a sequence where him and CB come to the diner or the restaurant so they go the trip to the beach. And this is the last thing we see about Harold. And Harold's heart is broken. I think Harold dodged a bullet.
Oh yeah.
But
But
I also
I was just gonna say the scene at the beach is kind of what I was saying about before, where there's parts where she's sober where you can tell she doesn't want that life, and they're out there sober, or she's sober and Don is just drunk and she just doesn't want to be there.
well, I think this is the point in the movie where she knew that she left the best thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah.
But again, as we go back to the earlier scene, she doesn't want the safe life. She wants the wildlife. I mean, if you look at the picture of that CB had of her dad and mom, he's dressed like Marlon Brando in The Wild Ones.
Yeah.
That their life was rock and roll, and then reality sets in.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, but the beach scene is really the beginning of the downfall of the mom.
Yeah. I think to me, it was just because it was one of the times where she's with Don and sober. So to me, that was kind of like, oh, she's got eyes to see, like, the trouble she's in.
Yep, but she can't do anything about it because she refused to take action. Then I believe we have a scene with CB at an ice cream parlor with her friends, and the daughter of that man is there, and she starts talking shit. And then CB paints her face with a ice cream. And her and her little crew go away, and I think that's the last we see of her crew.
Yeah. That part was a very the what was the girl's name? Did we find out? The one who got her face painted?
I don't know, but she also gets clobbered when she's cheerleading.
Yeah, but she seemed very like nonchalant about her younger brother. You could just hear her voice off the side, and she's like, "Yeah, her dad's out of jail. I wonder if he feels bad about killing my brother." And it's just kind of like she just says it like it's a normal sentence.
All right, but you gotta believe, like, that accident traumatized the small town.
Yeah,
Most of the people in town probably had a connection to the 30 kids who were killed and the bus driver.
yeah, and it's got to be even more traumatic with the police just left it there on the side of the road. They didn't even like impound it or anything.
His car, his truck,
The semi, yeah.
the semi was moved to the property.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was just like
No,
on the
no,
brim
no.
on the side of the road or something.
It was moved to the property,
Oh.
and I mean that's why she would go out there at night.
Yeah,
And basically stay in the cabin where her dad did horrible things to her. Now we're towards the end of the film now, and we're actually no. The girl's father goes to the dump and gets Don fired.
mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: Don knows this is happening. He just sits there drinking, and then he demolishes the boss's office.
Yeah,
Or Shack, which proves that Don is not a sane person. And then they go to a bar and start drinking. And that's when they come up with a plan to kill the guy.
So did they ever? I don't think they did, but did they ever touch on like who this guy is? Like,
It was the father of one of the kids who died.
no, I mean besides that, like, why can this guy just go to the landfill and tell the chief there like, hey, you should fire that guy? I mean, I'm sure the guy, the owner or whatever of the landfill, knows who he is.
He probably told him he was drinking.
Yeah, yeah, that could be.
I don't know. I don't know. But it seemed like that guy was one of the richer people in town.
Yeah.
Then they come back. The mom shoots up heroin. Don and Charlie are talking about starting a business. Then they worry about the daughter, the way she dresses, that she's a dyke, and they want Charlie to fuck her. And the way the mom just kind of allows this, she doesn't agree with it, but she allows it, makes her a horrible, horrible human being.
Yeah.
I mean, she's, oh, I don't know, but I don't want my daughter to be gay.
Yeah.
And they're about to enter the room, and CB holds the chair up. She knows something bad is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then does Charlie, I don't remember how Charlie reacts to it.
I don't think he does. I think he's just holding his drink from before, and CB kind of pushes the chair towards Dawn, but Dawn takes it and just has her sit down, and then I think they just tell Charlie to go back downstairs, and he's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Well, he's no longer in any part of the movie, so I'm guessing he left.
Yeah.
And then this is where CB has her big confrontation with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And she remembers everything, and it's not an easy scene to get through.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how she killed Don.
Well, she started by putting some underwear in his mouth.
Yes.
And then was kind of like pulling him in, like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And then she just pulled a pair of scissors out and started stabbing him in the neck.
And then she convinces her mom to go out in the truck, and she blows it up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is truly the only punk rock thing she's done in the film. But
Well, she had the safety pin in her cheek. That's pretty
Oh
punk
yeah,
rock.
yes. I dated this girl once. I was in grad school, and we worked at Borders Books, and she had a T-shirt that said "punk rock," where a lot of it was held together by safety pins, which is the most unpunk rock thing you can wear. But no, this movie is, I think it's a very important piece of cinema history
Hmm.
because it's unafraid to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very gritty, very bleak, and it kind of really when it was over, I was just thinking like, man, what was this movie supposed to be? Because it was saying it was going to be like a family friendly coming of age film, and the title card at the beginning was like, but it turned into something entirely different. I was like, yeah.
Dennis Hopper was inspired by the actress who played CB, and she was interested in punk rock, and I think he knew that she is not the kind of girl who's going to reform.
Hmm.
And I think the ending is a great ending because she broke the cycle.
Yeah.
She's not going to be her mom.
Hey, can you pause it a second? Hold on, I gotta go see what's going
Yeah. Yeah. As I was saying, I'm going to use the same line again. That's the least punk rock thing you could do. But no, I was very surprised how much this film impacted me. Like the first time I watched it, I could not watch anything afterwards
on.
because was in such a down mood. And when I watched it again last night, I wasn't in the same mood, but I enjoyed it more because I knew what was coming. And I got to tell you, this movie used a lot of foreshadowing, like when Don gets the dynamite
Hmm.
and CB's asking about it, and he basically says something to the fact you never know when you need to blow something up.
Yeah.
Everything in the movie, the suicide, the murder suicide at the end was inevitable. And
Yeah, and I kind of was like, I don't know if the film um meant to do this, but the whole time I was watching it, I just kept thinking like the dad is gonna kill himself. Um, but it
well,
ended up not being that at all.
I think he was. I think he was going to kill himself through drink.
Yeah. I for some reason I was like, oh, he's gonna blow himself up. He's gonna blow himself up.
But again, here's a man who's living with such immense guilt
Hmm.
for the things he did to his daughter and for killing those people. Anyone smart would have moved out of that town right away
Oh yeah.
and started a new life. But while he was in prison, the whole family was in prison. And like they're talking about I mean, the mom's talking about how she barely is able to make ends meet, or DCB was talking about that. And yeah, it's like they were in prison themselves, basically waiting for Don to come out of jail and solve all their problems of being a happy family again. But if you were never a happy family to begin with, you can't become one. It doesn't happen all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you got to think that the only reason why the parents were married was because they had a kid.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it definitely didn't seem like any of them were eager to raise a child. That kind of just kept living the same lives they were living, but there was a kid in it.
Yeah. Um, Before we end this conversation, I got to talk about how good the music was, from the Neil Young song to every
Hmm.
part of the soundtrack. It fits in perfect, and I think it's really cool because they once again play "My Hey Hey" at the end as the truck blows up and through the end credits. And it's funny. The tagline is the only adult she likes is Johnny Rotten, who is never mentioned once in the film, except for the last scene, or the last, as a credits roll, is the end lyric of that song goes, "This is the story of Johnny Rotten." And I really wanted to listen on Spotify, but Neil Young took most of his music off that streaming service because of Joe Rogan. Fuck you, Joe Rogan. And
that song is like, I mean, aside from the movie being named after it, that song, like when the like the opening menu comes on the Severin disc, and it just shows like CB kind of like walking around, just like the look of the movie combined with that song was just like, it just seemed like a perfect fit to me.
Yes. All right. I'm not going to be crass about this. How many teddy bears would you give this movie?
Teddy bears. I'm gonna go 4.5. Just for one reason. I would go 5, but the start of the movie was just a little slow for me, and
the start of the movie had him crashing into a bus.
Well, not that start, but just kind of like after that, we're kind of, you know, just going through the day as CB, and it kind of reminded me of did you say you watched The Killing of a Chinese Bookie?
I've seen both versions of it.
Kind of reminded me of that, where it's just like you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know where this is going, you're kind of just walking around with the character.
I don't know. I think those scenes in the beginning were really important, that because they defined who CB was.
Yeah, but I don't think that I got that until the end. As the movie went on, I started to like it more and more. But I'm gonna go 4.5.
I'm gonna go 5 teddy bears. I think this movie was near perfect. It was impactful. I was trying to think, if I was going to show this movie to friends, what movies would I show alongside it? And I decided I'd make it a triple feature. I'd show it alongside Walking Over the Edge, the Matt Dillon film, and Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains.
Okay. I have not seen that.
You should order the very wonderful one from Imprint. Imprint put it out.
Okay.
And it's a great film. I know as soon as you order it, someone's going to release it domestically. Shout Factory had the DVD of it, and I felt the need to upgrade to Blu-ray.
Nice.
But again, this was a near perfect movie, and it's really good to see late. And Severin's been really good about releasing non-schlock.
Yeah. One thing I was going to ask you, did you see at the opening credits, it was saying like Chloe Sevigny and
Natasha Leone. They were part of the restoration effort. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what did they do? Because I was expecting them to be like very young people in the movie or something, and they wanted to get
no. They were just fans. They were just fans of the film.
Okay.
Like on the 4K, there's a special feature with the Q&A from the showing of this new print, and Natasha Leone's there, and she talks about how important it was.
Okay.
To her.
Nice.
And no word from Chloe, whose last name I'm never going to try to pronounce. But yeah, it was a really good movie, and I think my life is better for seeing it compared to most of the Italian horror I've been watching lately. So I think next week we should continue down the Severin Seas and watch the last horror film.
Is that the Maniac one?
Maniac 2.
Perfect. I was going to suggest that, or Bad Biology. Those are the two that I want to see the most.
I think you'll have to watch Bad Biology on your own, because I would have to once again take the disc out without trying not to worry about stuffing it up. Again.
How was your case for Out of the Blue?
Fine, perfect. All
3 of my discs were floating around. And when I opened it up, I tried to put them back on, and they just they do not go on.
You should message Severin about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that does it for us this week. Please hit like, subscribe, share. We want it. We want mail from you. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Bye.